Ladies and gentlemen, today's story is so big, so shock heavy, and so sensitive that it has set off alarms in newsrooms across the world. Every defense analyst, every intelligence desk, and every global power is now looking straight toward India and Pakistan because what happened today has pushed the region to the brink of war. A powerful explosion near Delhi's Red Fort metro station has reignited tension between the two nuclear armed rivals. And the situation is exactly like the post Pahalgam attack days, a time when both nations were dangerously close to direct military confrontation. But what makes this even more terrifying? The blast didn't just happen in India. A second explosion hit Pakistan's capital, Islamabad, at almost the exact same time. Islamabad's bombing has no claimed responsibility yet. But Delhi, Indian intelligence agencies believe without a shadow of doubt that the car bomb near Red Fort was planned inside Pakistan, executed through a terror network, and that is why the government of India has ordered entire civilian villages near the line of control to evacuate immediately. This is not a symbolic step, this is a war readiness signal. High-level emergency meetings are underway between the Army, Air Force, and Navy. India's Home Ministry has declared a 10-kilometer zone along the border as a high-risk red zone to prevent civilian casualties and enable unrestricted military operations. Tourism is blocked across Kashmir. Gulmarg, Pahalgam, Sonmarg, Srinagar, even the Jammu-Srinagar National Highway is shut. Patrolling has doubled, drones are in the air, and every suspicious movement is now under surveillance. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and all three service chiefs have locked themselves inside the war room for hours, examining every possible response. Prime Minister Modi even abruptly ended his Bhutan tour and rushed back to Delhi, the clearest evidence that the situation is extremely serious. But then, the story explodes even further. A second breaking development has left Pakistan and China absolutely shaken. India has just signed a massive strategic missile and air defense deal with Israel, and this is an absolute game changer for South Asian security. Israel, the nation that built one of the world's strongest defensive shields, is equipping India with multi-layered air defense systems capable of destroying any rocket or missile mid-air. These include Barak 8 Iron Dome Davids Sling their interception range from 4 kilometers all the way to 250 kilometers. They can track and neutralize multiple incoming targets simultaneously. Cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, rockets, drones, everything. And the timing could not be more strategic. India today is standing between two hostile pressure points. Pakistan using terror as a proxy, China building up heavy military presence on the northern border. But with these Israeli systems, India's skies become nearly untouchable. Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, border belts, all gain multi-layer protection. And here's the most powerful part. India will not just import them. Large-scale local manufacturing will be done in India, boosting defense independence and the Indian economy simultaneously. Israel has publicly declared, "We stand with India with our eyes closed. India's security is our security." Breakdown of the defense shield Barak 8 defeats medium-range aerial threats up to approximately 100 kilometers Iron Dome, destroys short-range rockets and artillery between 4 to 70 kilometers, 90% plus success record David Sling, intercepts mid to long-range ballistic and cruise missiles, the final wall of protection. Together, these create a near-impenetrable umbrella over Indian airspace. But back to the explosions. The responsibility for the Delhi blast is still unclaimed, but early intelligence hints point toward Jaish-e-Mohammed. If investigators finally confirm a direct Pakistan connection, sources say India will not stop at diplomatic protests. A limited yet highly precise military strike option is already prepared. Borders are heating up. More troops deployed, Air Force conducting night combat drills. Naval warships positioned on standby. India is clearly preparing for any scenario, any direction, any threat. Global powers are nervous. G7 and European nations are publicly urging restraint and telling their citizens do not travel anywhere near Kashmir or the 10-kilometer border belt. The world does not want a war in South Asia, but India does not want another attack on its soil. The bigger picture, India is not just defending itself. It is building long-term self-reliance in defense. Domestic missile programs, local production of Israeli systems, upgraded Indian aerospace and cyber defense networks. In the coming years, India will not only be protected, India will become one of the world's strongest military powers. Friends, this was today's full update, extremely critical, deeply researched, and very urgent. Now the question is, what do you think about this rapidly escalating situation? Do you believe this will stop diplomatically, or is conflict now unavoidable? Tell us in the comments. And before you leave, if you want more global geopolitics, defense updates, and ground reality analysis, hit like, share this video, and support the hard work behind this research. But friends, there is something far more shocking unfolding behind the scenes, something that is not on TV, something governments are refusing to openly say, but intelligence sources all over the world already understand. The Delhi-Islamabad twin blasts were not random attacks, they were signal attacks. Someone wanted to provoke India and Pakistan into direct confrontation, because a simultaneous blast in both capitals at the same hour is not coincidence. It is calibrated strategy. Let's decode the three major possibilities intelligence analysts are discussing behind closed doors. Possibility 1. A proxy group wants India and Pakistan to fight. Certain extremist organizations thrive only when the region is unstable. War means weapons smuggling, international funding, recruitment opportunities, expansion of their networks. A full-scale conflict between India and Pakistan could bring them money, influence, and power. And if these groups triggered dual blasts, their objective was simple: push two nuclear nations into a fight. Because if war begins, Pakistan's military gets full control over its government, Kashmir becomes the global spotlight. Militants gain justification for violence. The scary part? Both intelligence communities, Indian and Western, admit this is very possible. Possibility 2. A major global power wants the region unstable. Let's talk real geopolitics. If South Asia goes to war, Middle East oil supply gets rerouted, global trade gets disrupted, military alliances shift, Western dependence on certain nations increases. When regions become unstable, big defense corporations make massive profits, and global power centers gain bargaining leverage. Analysts believe a foreign intelligence agency may have played a silent triggering role, boosting tensions without leaving fingerprints. And that's why G7 nations are now pressuring both sides to remain calm, not because they care about peace, but because they know how bad the fallout could get. Possibility 3. The blasts were meant to prevent an India-Israel strategic rise. There is one more angle, the most controversial one. The India-Israel defense partnership has become so powerful that it threatens the balance of military power across Asia. Barak 8, Iron Dome, and David Sling working together make India's cities, military bases, and border zones almost impossible to successfully attack. There are countries not happy with India becoming nearly undefeatable. If someone wanted to, delay the Israel deal, block local production, and stop India from gaining total air supremacy, then creating chaos and provoking India into war is the perfect disruption mechanism. Because during war, defense imports freeze investments, stop manufacturing halts, governments get distracted. This theory is not proven, but high-level security experts are seriously discussing it. But here is the reality. Nobody wants to say out loud, even if the situation calms down today, even if no war happens. South Asia has entered a new era. From now on, terror attacks will trigger immediate retaliation. India's air defenses will be nearly impenetrable. Pakistan's proxy strategy will get weaker over time. China will lose its missile intimidation advantage.